In 1985, the American shopping mall was more than a place to shop. It was where teenagers met friends, where families spent weekends, and where an entire culture unfolded under one roof. Rows of parked cars stretched out in every direction, filling vast lots that wrapped around the mall like a concrete moat. On a Saturday in 1985, the number of vehicles outside could tell you everything about the day ahead. A regional shopping mall typically covered between 400,000 and 800,000 square feet, demanding a parking ratio of about 5.5 spaces for every 1,000 square feet of retail space. That meant thousands of cars, sometimes more than 4,000, lined up in neat grids, their windshields reflecting the midday sun. The lot became its own kind of gathering place where families unloaded strollers and bags, teenagers compared mixtapes, and friends called out to each other across the lanes. The scale was unmistakable. Developers measured success not just in square footage, but in how many parking spaces could be squeezed onto the property. In places like San Diego County, more than a dozen regional centers competed for weekend crowds, each with their own sea of Chevys, Hondas, and station wagons. Sometimes the busiest days saw overflow onto surrounding streets, a silent signal that something big was happening inside. For many, the first impression of the mall was not its architecture or the stores beyond the glass doors. It was the shared experience of arriving, navigating the endless rows, searching for a spot, and stepping out into a world designed for cars as much as for people. The parking lot set the stage, marking the boundary between suburban routine and the enclosed city waiting just beyond the entrance. Long before reaching the mall's interior, the anchor stores announced themselves with bold signage and sprawling entrances. Names like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Montgomery Ward towered above the parking lot, promising everything from kitchen appliances to back-to-school wardrobes. These department stores weren't just tenants, they were magnets, drawing crowds in numbers that smaller shops could only dream of. On grand opening days, lines sometimes wrapped around the building, with local news crews reporting attendance figures that soared past 50,000 in a single afternoon. Columbia Mall in Missouri, for example, counted 150,000 visitors over its first 5 days in October 1985. For mall developers, landing an anchor meant more than filling square footage. Lease agreements often gave these giants generous terms, discounted rent, long build-out periods, and the promise of prime real estate at the edge of the property. In return, anchors agreed to open first and stay for decades, setting the rhythm of daily life inside. Their presence shaped every detail of the mall's design. Wide corridors radiated from Sears or JCPenney, channeling foot traffic past dozens of smaller retailers. The logic was simple. Families might come for a washing machine or a new suit, but they'd pass by jewelry counters, toy stores, and shoe displays along the way. On a busy Saturday, more than 25,000 shoppers might flow through these doors, each trip beginning and ending at the anchors. The department store's exterior facades became familiar landmarks, while inside, their entrances anchored the mall's main arteries. The result was a carefully orchestrated circulation pattern, with every corridor, directory, and storefront positioned to capture a share of the anchor's gravitational pull. Stepping inside, the air changes. Cool, dry, and faintly scented with popcorn and perfume, the interior feels like a world apart from the parking lot's heat and glare. Overhead, wide skylights run the length of the main concourse, flooding the space with soft daylight even on cloudy afternoons. The ceiling soars 2 or 3 stories above, supported by sweeping beams and geometric grids, designed as much for drama as for comfort. Sunlight glances off polished tile floors, reflecting a mosaic of color from neon signs and window displays. Soundscape is a steady blend, the low hum of conversation, the distant splash of a fountain, and the gentle drift of soft rock or top 40 hits piped through ceiling speakers. Every few yards, a directory kiosk stands ready, its backlit map promising a sense of order in the maze of stores. Escalators glide up and down, their chrome handrails shining under the lights, carrying shoppers between levels with a quiet mechanical rhythm. Some malls add moving walkways or glass elevators, inviting visitors to see the action from above. In the central atrium, fountains bubble and cascade into tiled pools, drawing clusters of children and shoppers who pause to rest or toss in coins. Planters overflow with ficus trees and ferns, softening the lines of concrete and steel. The effect is deliberate, a climate-controlled promenade where the outside world falls away, replaced by a steady current of people moving in all directions, some with purpose, others simply wandering. Every step forward reveals new sights, new sounds, and the promise of discovery just around the corner. Every store in the mall offered its own kind of adventure, but nowhere was the sense of discovery more tangible than inside the record shops, electronics counters, and sprawling department stores. In 1985, shopping was a hands-on ritual. Teenagers crowded into record stores, flipping through rows of vinyl and cassettes, searching for the latest Madonna single or a new Prince album. Boomboxes blasted sample tracks in the corner, while sales clerks offered a nod to anyone bold enough to ask for a demo. Over at the electronics counters, clusters of kids gathered around glass cases displaying the newest Sony Walkman, each eager to test the headphones or compare cassette players. Product demonstrations were a daily event. One clerk might queue up a top 40 hit, letting a customer slip on the foam-padded headphones and hear music in stereo for the first time. Department stores ran on a different rhythm. Shoppers moved between perfume counters and racks of pastel blazers, pausing at gift-wrapped desks where clerks expertly folded glossy paper and tied perfect bows. In the dressing rooms, friends traded opinions on acid-wash jeans or neon windbreakers, the laughter and chatter echoing down the aisles. Clerks memorized regulars' preferences, offering a gentle nudge toward a new style or a reminder about a weekend sale. The act of shopping was never just about the purchase. It was about the touch of fabric, the click of a cassette case, the thrill of trying something new, and the small, everyday performances that played out between customers and staff. For many, these moments lingered long after the bags were packed, shaping the mall's reputation as a place where discovery and connection went hand in hand. In the heart of the mall, the food court hums with a steady energy, a crossroads where families, friends, and solo shoppers pause for a meal and a break from wandering the corridors. Plastic trays clatter against tabletops. The air carries a blend of pizza, fried chicken, and cinnamon rolls. And the soundtrack is a mix of laughter, soft pop hits, and the gentle drone of conversations weaving together. At lunchtime, tables fill with parents corralling young children, grandparents sharing coffee, and teenagers staking out their favorite spots. Some families treat the food court as a weekly ritual, choosing between familiar stalls, Pizza Hut, Orange Julius, or the latest arrival, Hot Dog on a Stick, which opened a new location in April 1985 and quickly drew a line of curious customers. For the price of a combo meal, anyone could claim a seat and watch the world go by. Mall walkers with shopping bags, kids darting between tables, and clusters of friends planning their next stop. The food court is not just a place to eat, it is a communal living room, a pause in the day where stories are swapped and plans are made before the current of the mall sweeps everyone onward. Arcade lights flicker to life the moment school lets out, drawing a wave of teenagers into a corner of the mall that hums with energy. The air pulses with digital sound, Pac-Man's iconic chomp, the rapid-fire beeps of Galaga, the clatter of quarters on glass. On Saturday afternoons, tournament flyers taped to the entrance promise free tokens or a shot at the high scoreboard, and the crowd thickens as players line up to test their reflexes. Friends cheer each other on, swapping stories of near misses and record runs, while others circle the machines, scanning for an open spot or a familiar face. As dusk settles, the arcade becomes a crossroads. The crowd swells again with moviegoers spilling out from the multiplex, their laughter mixing with the arcade's digital soundtrack. But just as the night feels limitless, a different rhythm takes hold. Mall security supervisors dressed in crisp uniforms begin their rounds. They pause at the arcade entrance, reminding groups about the rumored 9 p.m. curfew, a policy debated in city meetings and whispered about by teens who stretch the rules. Some linger, hoping for a few more minutes at the cabinet. Others drift toward the exits, their pockets lighter, the night cut short by rules that draw a clear boundary between freedom and supervision. The tension between youth and authority hangs in the air as neon reflections fade and the arcade's doors close for another night. Today, most malls stand quieter, their echoes fading beneath online commerce. Yet the memory of those glowing corridors still shapes how we imagine community and connection. As public spaces vanish, we are left to ask, where do we gather now? Thanks for joining this walk back through America's indoor city.